Rowan walked across the dusty trade moon with tired steps, hoping to find simple work for the day. He had traveled through many small planets, fixing machines and helping travelers. He never stayed long in one place, but he tried to be kind wherever he went. That morning he heard a sound that made him stop. It was soft, weak, and full of pain. It sounded like a small cry. He followed the sound behind a broken metal crate near the market road. When he looked inside, he froze. A small feline cub lay curled up, shaking. Her fur was silver and thin. Her eyes were dim but glowing like tiny stars. On her forehead, she had a small crest that shimmered faintly. The cub tried to lift her head, but she was too weak. Rowan slowly knelt down. The cub did not growl or run. She only stared at him with tired fear, as if she expected him to hurt her. A trader walked by and saw Rowan looking into the crate. "Leave it," the trader said quickly. "That thing is trouble. It's from the Empress Feline species. Rare. Dangerous. Better to stay away." Another trader joined in. "The mother probably abandoned it. Or maybe someone stole it and left it here. Either way, don't take it. Those creatures cause problems." Rowan looked back at the small cub. She did not look dangerous at all. She looked lonely, cold, and forgotten. He reached his hand forward slowly. The cub flinched but did not bite. When his fingers touched her fur, she let out a small weak sound, almost like relief. "She's just a baby," Rowan said. "She won't survive alone." The traders shrugged and walked away. No one cared about the cub. Rowan carefully lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, almost weightless. Her body trembled, and she pressed her face against his jacket as if trying to hide. Rowan held her close and whispered, "It's okay. I'll help you." He carried the cub to the small shelter where he was staying. It was nothing more than a metal room with a heater and a small bed, but it was safe. He gently placed the cub on a blanket and gave her water. She drank slowly, her small tongue shaking. Rowan warmed some food and offered it to her. She ate a little, then curled up again. After a long moment, she opened her glowing eyes and looked at him. Rowan smiled softly. "You need a name," he said. "How about Lyra?" The cub blinked once as if accepting it. For the rest of the day, Rowan stayed by her side. He cleaned her fur, checked her for injuries, and kept the heater warm. Lyra watched him with quiet eyes. She did not act wild or aggressive. She only looked confused, as if she did not understand why someone was helping her. At night, she crawled closer to him and rested her head on his hand. Rowan felt her soft breath and knew she had finally relaxed. He whispered, "You're safe now." The next morning, the traders in the market stared in surprise. Rowan walked through the stalls with Lyra resting in his arms. Her silver fur looked a little brighter now, and her eyes showed more life. Some traders whispered warnings again. "That species is too powerful," one muttered. "She will be a problem one day," another said. Rowan ignored them. He only cared that Lyra was getting better. But strange things began to happen. When Rowan fixed a broken machine, Lyra touched a metal panel with her paw and the lights flickered back on. When Rowan sorted his tools, Lyra watched with shining eyes that seemed to see more than the surface. She moved with quiet grace even though she was still weak. Sometimes her fur glowed softly when she slept. Rowan noticed all of it, but he did not feel afraid. He only felt curious. "What are you really, little one?" he whispered one night. Lyra lifted her head and stared at him. For a moment he felt as if she understood every word. Days passed and Lyra grew stronger. She followed Rowan everywhere, staying close to his feet. If someone walked too near, she stepped in front of him and raised her small crest as if she wanted to protect him. The traders began to talk again. "Maybe that human is crazy," one said. "No one keeps an Empress Feline cub." Another whispered, "If the royal envoys find out, he will be in big trouble." Rowan did not listen. Lyra was not dangerous to him. She trusted him. She needed him. One evening, as the sky turned purple over the trade moon, Rowan sat outside with Lyra curled in his lap. Her soft silver fur warmed his hands. For the first time in many months he felt something he thought he had lost: purpose. He looked at the little cub and said softly, "No one wanted you. But I do. You're not alone anymore." Lyra slowly lifted her head and touched his cheek with her small paw. Her eyes glowed gently, not with fear but with trust. Rowan smiled, not knowing that this small act of kindness would one day change the fate of entire star systems. Rowan woke up to a strange sound in the small metal shelter. It was a soft humming noise, almost like energy moving through the air. When he opened his eyes, he saw Lyra sitting near the heater with her tail wrapped neatly around her paws. Her silver fur glowed faintly, and the crest on her forehead shimmered like a small star. Rowan sat up slowly. Lyra, are you okay? Lyra blinked once and tilted her head. The humming stopped. She walked toward him and gently pressed her head against his arm. Rowan let out a breath of relief. But he could not ignore what he saw. Her glow was brighter than yesterday. Her movements were sharper, more confident. He fed her breakfast and she ate with more strength than ever before. After eating, she looked at him with a strange intelligence in her glowing eyes. Rowan felt like she could understand more each day. When he stepped out into the market area, Lyra followed at his heels. The traders stared even more today. Some stepped back with fear. Others whispered about her crest shining too brightly. One trader shook his head. That's not a normal cub anymore. Its power is waking up. Another said, the Empress Feline species is connected to ancient energy. If that cub grows, entire planets will pay attention. Rowan didn't care what they said, but he did notice Lyra acting differently. When he worked on repairing a broken transport bike, she touched the metal frame with her paw. A faint pulse of light ran through the bike and it turned on instantly. Rowan stared at it in shock. He knelt beside her. Lyra, did you do that? She blinked slowly, almost proud. As the day went on, more strange things happened. When Rowan lifted heavy tools, Lyra moved beside him and the tools suddenly felt lighter. When he walked through the crowded market, the air around him seemed calmer. People who were arguing suddenly went quiet when Lyra passed by. Machines that were old and rusty worked better when she looked at them. Rowan knew these changes weren't normal. Something inside Lyra was growing fast. That night, he sat beside her in the warm shelter. Lyra lay next to him, her fur shining softly like moonlight. Rowan gently touched the crest on her forehead. You're changing, he whispered. But I'm not scared. I just hope you're okay. Lyra lifted her head and placed her paw on his chest, right over his heart. The gesture surprised him. It felt like she was telling him she trusted him completely. The next morning, Rowan woke to find Lyra standing near the door, staring outside with alert eyes. When a loud crash echoed from the market, she rushed out before Rowan could react. Rowan grabbed his jacket and ran after her. In the center of the market, a large cargo machine had malfunctioned and fallen sideways. People were trapped under pieces of broken metal. Traders shouted for help, but the machine was too heavy to move. Rowan pushed his way through the crowd. Lyra had already reached the front. The trapped workers lay groaning, unable to escape. Rowan knelt beside them. We need to lift this. But before he could even touch the fallen metal, Lyra stepped forward. Her fur blazed with bright silver light. The air around her vibrated. Then, with a soft growl, she pressed her paws against the metal. The entire piece lifted. Everyone froze. The heavy cargo frame hovered in the air as if it weighed nothing. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, and the crest on her forehead shone like a tiny sun. Rowan quickly pulled the trapped workers out. Once they were safe, Lyra slowly lowered the metal to the ground. The light around her faded and she stepped back, breathing softly but not weakly. The crowd erupted into shocked whispers. That cub lifted a cargo machine. No one has seen that kind of power in centuries. Is she the next Empress Feline? Rowan gently put his hand on Lyra's head. Her fur was warm, still holding small traces of energy. Lyra leaned against him, her body trembling slightly, not with fear but with excitement. Later, back at the shelter, Rowan sat on the floor with Lyra curled against his side. He stroked her soft fur and whispered, "Your power, it's getting stronger." And everyone saw it today. Lyra made a soft sound, almost a purr, and her tail curled around his arm. She looked peaceful, as if she felt safe only with him. Rowan sighed. I don't know what your future is, little one, but I promise I'll stay with you. Whatever happens. Outside, traders whispered across the trade moon. Rumors spread fast. Stories of the glowing cub who lifted a machine. Stories of the human who cared for her. Stories of a young creature who might one day rule entire star systems. But inside the small shelter, Rowan didn't care about legends or power. He only cared about the silver cub sleeping beside him, trusting him completely as her strength continued to awaken. Rowan noticed the change the moment he opened his eyes. The shelter was filled with a soft silver glow, brighter than anything he had seen before. Lyra stood in the center of the room, her fur moving like slow waves of light. The crest on her forehead shone like a small rising star, brighter than the heater beside her. Rowan sat up slowly. Lyra, what's happening to you? Lyra turned her head toward him, and for a moment it looked like she was larger than yesterday. Not much, but enough for him to notice. Her eyes were deeper, glowing with intelligence far beyond a normal cub. She stepped closer and touched her forehead gently against his hand. The light softened. But Rowan felt something else in the air, like a strange pressure, as if someone powerful was watching from far away. He didn't say anything. He simply got ready for the day. He opened the door to the marketplace and Lyra followed closely, her steps calm and confident. The moment they walked outside, everyone stopped. A trader dropped a stack of metal parts. Another froze with a box in his hands. A group of travelers backed away slowly. Some bowed without meaning to. Others whispered with pure fear. That glow, it's royal energy. It can't be, that's an Empress Feline. No, the Empress Feline line ended decades ago. This is impossible. Rowan swallowed hard. He hadn't heard that name before, but the way everyone reacted told him enough. Lyra wasn't just special, she was something legendary. Lyra ignored all of them and stayed close to Rowan. When people whispered too loudly, she gave a soft growl, and the air around them went silent. Rowan tried to get supplies from a stall, but the trader stepped back and shook his head. I'm sorry, human, he said quietly. I cannot serve you today. The energy around your creature is too strong. I fear something greater is coming. Rowan felt uneasy. He turned to Lyra. Let's go home. But as he turned, he heard a sound that made the entire market fall silent. It was a deep hum, from above. A shadow passed over the sky. Everyone looked up. A large royal ship was descending. Its silver armor glowed with symbols Rowan didn't understand. Long banners hung from its sides, marked with star shapes that seemed strangely similar to the crest on Lyra's forehead. The ship landed gently outside the market. Sparks of energy flickered around its landing pads. The air became cold and heavy, as if it carried ancient power. The ship's door opened. Out stepped tall armored guards, wearing silver armor that matched the ship. Their helmets had sharp crests. Their movements were perfectly synchronized. Rowan felt Lyra move slightly closer to him, her body tense. Her glow brightened around her paws. A tall figure stepped out behind the guards. She wore flowing robes and her eyes glowed with a faint silver color. She looked almost human but carried an aura of heavy authority. The crowd dropped to their knees instantly. Rowan didn't. He didn't understand what was happening. Lyra stood in front of him, her body straight and strong. The robed woman studied Lyra for a long moment. Then she spoke in a calm voice that carried across the entire market. At last, the lost heir has been found. Rowan blinked. Heir? What do you mean? The woman looked directly at him. Human, the creature you carry is no ordinary cub. She is the last Empress Feline. Our future ruler. Our lost sovereign. The crowd gasped. Some people bowed deeper. Others looked terrified. Rowan stared at Lyra. She looked back at him, her glowing eyes steady and sure. She wasn't scared. The woman stepped closer, but Lyra growled sharply. A wave of energy burst through the air, making the guards stumble. The robed woman stopped immediately. She bowed her head toward Lyra. Forgive me, Empress. I did not mean to cause fear. I only came to return you to your rightful place. Rowan's heart pounded. He whispered, Lyra, is this true? Are you really? Lyra stepped close to him and pressed her forehead to his chest. Her body glowed brighter, surrounding both of them with warm light. The meaning was clear, she trusted him more than anyone else. The robed woman watched with surprise. She has chosen you. A human caretaker. This is rare. Very rare. Rowan swallowed. I don't care about thrones or crowns. I just want her to be safe. The woman nodded slowly. Then understand this. The galaxy will not leave her alone. Her power has awakened. Her presence will shake worlds. Rowan felt the weight of her words. The traders, the guards, the ship, the whispers, everything suddenly made sense. Lyra wasn't just growing. She was returning to who she truly was. And Rowan, an ordinary human mechanic, had unknowingly become the guardian of the future Empress. He held Lyra close, feeling her soft fur and warm light. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. Rowan did not sleep that night. He sat beside Lyra in the small shelter, watching her soft glow fill the room like quiet moonlight. Outside, he could hear the distant hum of the royal ship's engines. The guards stayed near the marketplace, but they did not come closer. They seemed afraid of Lyra's power, and even more afraid of disturbing her. Rowan gently brushed Lyra's fur. They want to take you somewhere far away, he whispered. But I won't let them force you. You stay where you feel safe. Lyra lifted her head and rested a paw on his knee. Her eyes held something gentle but strong, something that told him she understood everything. By morning, the whole trade moon felt different. People moved quietly. Stalls stayed half-closed. Whispers floated through the air like dust. Everyone knew the Empress Feline heir had returned. Everyone knew she had chosen a human. Guards in silver armor waited outside the shelter as Rowan stepped out with Lyra at his side. The lead guard raised a hand. "We are here to escort the Empress," he said firmly. "She must return to her people." Rowan stood straight. "She's not going anywhere until she chooses to." A wave of shock went through the guards. Some even stepped back. No one ever spoke like that to the royal force. "She is a royal being," the guard replied. "Her place is on the throne." Rowan shook his head. "Her place is where she feels safe. And she feels safe with me." Lyra growled softly, her silver light pulsing around her paws. The guards froze, too frightened to move forward. The robed woman from before appeared behind them. She looked calmer today, softer even. She studied Rowan for a moment, then spoke with patience. "You protect her like she is your own child." Rowan nodded. "She is my child. I raised her. I fed her. I kept her warm. I didn't know she was royal, but it doesn't matter. She's mine." Lyra stepped closer and brushed her head against his leg as if confirming it. The woman lowered her voice. "If you keep her here, danger will follow. Other factions will come. Some will want her power. Some will want to control her. Some may want to destroy her to prevent her rule." "I'll protect her," Rowan said without hesitation. The robed woman sighed. "A single human cannot fight an entire galaxy." Rowan placed his hand gently on Lyra's head. "Watch me." The guards exchanged uneasy glances. They had weapons, ships, and armor, but none of them dared to move against the glowing cub who could lift metal machines with a single touch. Days passed and tension grew on the trade moon. Strange ships were seen in orbit. Unknown scouts appeared in the market pretending to shop. Traders whispered about shadow groups arriving soon. Everyone knew that something big was coming. One evening, while Rowan repaired an old generator behind his shelter, Lyra lifted her head suddenly. Her fur bristled. Rowan felt the air change. A cold wind swept across the ground even though there was no wind inside the closed yard. Then he saw them. 3 dark figures stepped out from behind a broken cargo crate. They wore black armor, smooth and unmarked. Their masks hid their faces, but their movements showed their intent. One pointed at Lyra. "There. The air. Take her." Rowan instantly stood in front of Lyra. "Stay back." The figures lifted their weapons. Before Rowan could react, Lyra leaped forward with a roar that shook the metal walls. Her glow burst into a bright flash, throwing all 3 attackers backward. Their weapons clattered to the ground. Rowan rushed to her side. "Lyra." She stood firm, her fur glowing like a storm of silver fire, her small body filled with a power that felt ancient and unstoppable. The attackers scrambled to rise, but Lyra growled once more. This time the ground trembled under their feet. They ran, terrified, disappearing back into the shadows. Rowan held Lyra tightly. "You saved us." She purred softly, pressing her forehead to his chest. Her glow dimmed to a soft shimmer again. The robed woman and her guards arrived moments later, weapons ready. They saw the marks on the ground, the fallen weapons, the damage in the yard. The woman looked at Rowan with new respect. "You protected her. Even against trained hunters." Rowan shook his head. "She protected me." "But you stood between her and danger," the woman replied. "Most would have run." Rowan looked down at Lyra, who watched him with calm eyes. "I won't run. Not from anything." The woman bowed her head slightly. "Then perhaps she was right to choose you." The guards lowered their weapons. The fear in their eyes faded a little. Rowan carried Lyra back inside the shelter. He sat down beside her as she curled into his lap. He whispered softly, "I'll protect you. No matter how big the danger gets. You're my cub. And I'm your human." Lyra closed her eyes and leaned against him, her soft purr filling the small home. Outside, the galaxy moved and watched. But inside, Rowan held his glowing cub close, ready to face whatever came next. He was only one human. But he would not let anyone take her. The morning began with a strange silence. Rowan stepped outside the shelter with Lyra at his side and noticed that the entire trade moon felt completely still. No traders shouted. No machines buzzed. No ships flew overhead. It was as if everyone was holding their breath. Lyra's fur glowed brighter than ever, soft silver light drifting off her like gentle smoke. She walked with slow, confident steps, no longer moving like a small cub. She seemed taller, stronger, and her eyes held a deep intelligence that made Rowan stop and stare. He whispered, "You're changing again." Lyra pressed her head gently against his hand, her way of assuring him everything was fine. But Rowan could feel something powerful growing inside her, something ancient and unstoppable. A loud alarm suddenly echoed through the market. Rowan jerked his head up. The sky above the trade moon filled with dark ships, dozens of them. Their armor looked sharp and cold. These were not royal ships. These were not traders. These were hunters. Crowds ran in fear. Stalls closed. Lights dimmed. The robed woman and her royal guards rushed forward, looking alarmed. "They have come for her," the woman shouted. Rowan pulled Lyra close. "We have to get out of here." But it was too late. The hunters landed in the center of the market. Their leader stepped out, wearing dark armor that absorbed the light around him. He pointed directly at Lyra. "Hand over the air," he shouted, "or this moon will fall." The royal guards raised their weapons. The robed woman stepped forward. "You cannot take her," she said firmly. "She is our empress." The hunter leader laughed. "An empress? That cub is a tool. And tools belong to those strong enough to claim them." Rowan felt Lyra tense beside him. Her fur sparked with bright energy. He knelt and touched her gently. "Stay behind me," he whispered. But Lyra stepped ahead of him instead. She stood tall, her silver crest burning with light. Even the hunters froze, confused. They had expected a frightened cub, not this glowing creature that looked ready to defend her world. The hunter leader lifted his weapon. "Take her." A blast shot through the air. Rowan moved on instinct. He threw himself in front of Lyra, arms open, ready to shield her with his body. But before the blast could reach him, Lyra roared. The roar shook the ground. The sky trembled. A wave of bright silver energy exploded from her like a star being born. The blast hit the wave and vanished. The hunters stumbled backward, their weapons sparking from the force. Even the royal guards shielded their eyes. Lyra's body lifted slightly off the ground, surrounded by swirling streams of light. Her fur shone like a burning comet. Her eyes glowed like twin suns. She looked nothing like a cub now, she looked like the creature she was destined to become. The robed woman whispered, amazed, She is awakening." Lyra spread her glowing wings, small before, now large and shining like blades of light. She let out another roar and a powerful shockwave burst out. The nearest hunter ships cracked under the pressure and fell to the ground. The hunter leader panicked. "Retreat! Retreat!" But Lyra was not finished. She moved like a flash, her body leaving trails of silver fire. She jumped high into the air and struck one of the ships with a burst of pure energy. The ship exploded harmlessly in the sky, broken apart without harming anyone below. Rowan watched, stunned. "Lyra, you're incredible." Ship after ship tried to approach, but Lyra pushed them back with waves of glowing force. Some ships lost control and flew away. Others turned and fled into space, terrified of the small creature who had become a living storm. Within minutes, the hunters were gone. Silence returned to the trade moon, but it was not the silence of fear this time. It was the silence of awe. Lyra floated gently back to the ground, her light fading to a soft shimmer again. She looked tired but proud. Rowan rushed to her and held her carefully. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved everyone." Lyra rested her head against his chest, breathing softly. The robed woman approached with tears in her eyes. "She has taken her first step toward becoming the galactic beast, the true empress. Legend said she would rise in a moment of danger. And today the galaxy has seen her power." The royal guards knelt to Lyra, bowing deeply. Rowan looked down at her. She looked up at him. Despite her power, despite her destiny, her eyes showed the same gentle loyalty she always had. She chose him. The woman spoke quietly. "Human, you did more than protect her. You helped her grow. You guided her, cared for her, and kept her heart pure. Because of you, the Empress lives." Rowan shook his head. "No, she saved me too. We protect each other." Lyra pressed her forehead against his chest and purred softly. Her glow warmed his hands. The robed woman smiled. "Then the galaxy will remember two names. The Empress Feline, and the human who raised the beast that would change the stars." Rowan lifted Lyra into his arms. She curled against him like the small cub she once was. He whispered, "Wherever we go together." Lyra's eyes softened. Around them, the people of the trade moon bowed in respect, not just to Lyra but to Rowan as well. A human and his cub, a caretaker and his empress, a pair who would one day shake the galaxy.